Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. And today we have got a Savox video. Now, we're going to just say this in advance. Outside my window, I don't think the camera will pick it up. I'm just going to say this in case it does. Outside my window, there was a kid team, sports team practicing something, and there was a lot of screaming. So if you hear screaming from kids, that's what it is. And if you hear a dog barking, that's because he's barking at the kids. So that's what that is. But this video is from Savox. 10 more photos with disturbing backstories. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Comment what you think down below. If you'd like to help out a donation, you can leave a super thanks or link to my PayPal's in the description. Let's go.
Almost 3 years ago, I made a video talking about photographs that seemed normal from a glance, but have some dark backstories behind them. Photos that were taken immediately before disaster and death. Last time, I only covered 9, but there are many more to get through, so this time, I'll be covering 10. Here are 10 more photos with disturbing backstories. This photo was taken by Dave Helly and shows his wife Kim and their 4-year-old daughter Megan on board a Malaysian airline flights from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur on July 17, 2014.
I think I know this one. This is the one where they shot it out of the plane, right? Like, if I was right, they shot the plane. Someone shot the plane thinking it was some military, thinking it was a fucking target. Thinking it was a fucking someone out to get them, so they fucking shot the plane. I swear that's right. I think the military shot it because they thought it was fucking US, or they thought it was someone else trying to get them. Fucking dumb fuckers.
Dave and Kim had been planning this dream vacation for years, and were thrilled to finally be making the journey with their daughter. Sadly, it was a journey they would never complete, as this was the final photo Dave would ever take of his beloved wife and daughter, before tragedy would strike. In 2014, Eastern Ukraine was embroiled in conflict following Russia's annexation of Crimea and the immersion of pro-Russian separatist movements in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. The area was a hotbed of military activity, including engagements between Ukrainian forces and separatists. The airspace over conflict zones is typically deemed risky, and international aviation bodies often issue advisories to airlines. Despite these risks, MH17, the flight that Dave and his family were on, still took the path over eastern Ukraine, as it was a common route for various international flights. MH17 departed from Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport at 20:31 local time and was expected to arrive in Kuala Lumpur at 7 AM Malaysian time. The flight proceeded uneventfully until it entered eastern Ukraine airspace. At approximately 3:20, the aircraft lost contact with air traffic control and disappeared.
To think that, like, okay, so here's the thing. So they're advised. So this is not all stupidity. They are advised to not go over eastern Ukraine because, look, the fucking military are on fucking edge. They're paranoid as shit because of Russia and that, so they'll just shoot anyone down. You gotta be cautious. So don't fly over there. The plane did it anyway, so maybe that's partially of that bad choices. However, at no point I think would it cross the mind of these people. Because a plane, maybe unless I'm stupid, and I could be stupid, and someone could be commenting on saying I'm stupid for this reason. I'm pretty sure there's a difference enough between a normal plane and a military plane. I feel like look enough difference that you could probably make the difference out. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm just stupid, but I feel there's enough of a difference. I just feel they probably could have looked. If they did a little thought, they probably would realize it's not that. But I know, I get it. They're in war. You don't have time to think in war. If a plane's flying overhead and you think you might just have a nuke dropped on you, you're gonna fucking start shooting.
From radar screens, wreckage was later discovered scattered over several kilometers near the village of Hrabov. The Dutch Safety Board and the Joint Investigation Team, which included representatives from the Netherlands, Ukraine, Malaysia, Australia, Belgium, and later the UK, led the investigations into the crash. The Dutch Safety Board's final report, released in October 2015, concluded that the aircraft was brought down by a warhead launched by a surface-to-air missile system. The missile exploded near the cockpit, causing the forward parts of the plane to break off, after which the rest of the aircraft broke up in mid-air. The Joint Investigation Team further sought to identify the perpetrators and their motives. In 2016, it confirmed that the missile system was transported from Russia into rebel-held territory in Ukraine and was returned to Russia after the shoot-down. In June 2019, the Joint Investigation Team charged 4 individuals, 3 Russians and 1 Ukrainian, with murder, alleging that they had a significant role in transporting and firing the missile.
Fucking A, I'm glad they were sentenced. They were charged and sentenced to murder because, yeah, there was a lot that went fucking wrong here that could have caused a bunch of innocent lives not to end because of your fucking stupidity.
The international reaction to the MH17 crash was one of shock and outrage. Many countries condemned the act and called for a thorough and transparent investigation. There was significant criticism directed at Russia for its alleged role in the incident, leading to a further deterioration in relations between Russia and the West. It also led to changes in international aviation protocols, including more stringent risk assessments for flight paths near conflict zones. The incident highlighted the vulnerabilities of civilian aircraft flying over or near conflict areas, and led to calls for greater international cooperation to ensure the safety of international air travel. The downing of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was a stark reminder of the dangers that civilian aircraft can face when flying over or near conflict zones. The tragedy brought unspeakable grief to the families of the 298 victims and affected nations worldwide. The MH17 crash remains a somber chapter in aviation history, serving as a call to the international community to unite in safeguarding the skies and ensuring that such tragedy is never repeated. This picture just serves as a reminder of all the innocent lives that were lost over a territory dispute that they had absolutely nothing to do with. Here we have a selfie of French couple Gilles Leclerc and Marianne Labanan, taken on November 13th, 2015, while the two were waiting for their favourite band to take the stage. The band in question was Eagles of Death Metal. Eagles of Death Metal is an American rock band formed in 1998 in Palm Desert, California, known for their energetic performances and distinctive blend of garage rock, blues and hard rock. The band was on a European tour in 2015 to promote their 4th studio album, Zipper Down. The Bataclan Theatre, a historic venue in Paris, was hosting the band's concert on this particular night. The crowd was fairly small at only 1,500 people, but they were no doubt ready for a great show from the band. Unfortunately, what they would get instead was a truly horrific event that would rock the country of France and the entire music world to its core.
Why are there so many of these? I know, I feel it's a fire, right? It's gonna be a fire. It's gonna be a fire caused by pyro. The reason why I feel that is because there's so fucking many of these stories that it just makes me confused on how fucking neglectful are musicians and fucking studios and fucking shows. Like, how many fucking times does these need to happen? Don't do pyro in small buildings. Just fucking don't. I don't care if it's your whole setup in big arenas. When you enter a small one with 1,500 people in it, you don't need fucking pyrotechnics and shit. It's fucking unnecessary. I could be wrong, but I don't know this story, but I have a gut feeling that fucking pyrotechnics will cause a fire somewhere, and that's the problem.
At 9:50 p.m. that night, during the band's performance, 3 gunmen armed with automatic rifles and wearing explosive vests entered the theatre, firing upon the crowd.
Oh! Okay, I was so wrong. I was so wrong. That's not even fucking close. I went just on a rant for no... Okay, that's worse. Yeah, that's worse. Never mind. Apologies. Complete apologies. I was just ranting for no fucking reason. I just ran on ranting and it turns out I was fucking wrong. My bad. Damn, 3 gunmen just went firing for wearing explosive vests for reasons.
The band members quickly exited the stage as the chaos unfolded. The gunmen mowed down people standing in the crowd and also fired into the balconies, where the victims fell to the ground after being shot dead. The attackers took numerous hostages, leading to a tense standoff with police. By approximately 12:20 a.m., French police stormed the theatre, resulting in the death of the attackers, but also significant casualties among the hostages. By the end of it all,
I understand why you do it, but that's way risky. That's too risky to do. You can't just barge into a building where there's hostages. One, because you're gonna... people are going to die. The hostages are going to die because there's just gonna be rapid gunfire. I get why you do it, right? You have to put an end to it. But Jesus, you gotta be... it's too... I find those calls too risky to do sometimes.
90 people had been killed in the attack. Witnesses reported hearing the gunmen yelling Allahu Akbar and also proclaiming that this attack was in retaliation to airstrikes against ISIS, meaning this was, in fact, a terrorist attack. The psychological toll on those who survived the attack was profound. Survivors reported symptoms consistent with post-traumatic stress disorder, including flashbacks, severe anxiety, and insomnia. The band members of...
I wouldn't be able to hear a gunshot. If I was there, they're like, out of your gunshot, start freaking the fuck out. Like, I would be, oh god, it'd be fucking awful.
The Eagles of Death Metal themselves were deeply affected. Frontman Jesse Hughes and other members expressed their trauma and grief in numerous interviews.
The house lights girl who didn't make it, she, for whatever reason, she was scared. She turned the house lights on, which couldn't have been a more worse thing to happen right then, because it discombobulated everyone, ironically, or in some cold, dark, evil irony, you know?
And then
I knew exactly what was going on. Shit I saw made me unable to even move, man, you know? I don't know, and I don't know where all this witness memory of things being said comes from, because they weren't talking. They were on Xanax and cocaine, that's a fact. All of the shooters were on heavy doses of sedatives and accelerants at the same time. We were already at that point, all of us together, everyone.
That is a weird, interesting take, this statement to say. He goes, I don't know where the witness thing of stuff is, because they were all on cocaine and sedatives. Like that, like he's just, like there ain't no way they remember jack shit from the event.
Trying to cover each other, which was a good feeling right then and there, because it felt like we weren't alone, which was really important.
Someone really kicked the door and it fucking started coming off the hinges, and that's when I was like, I'm in here, are you the police? And they were like, yeah, we're the police. They kicked the door and immediately just went to frisk me. You know, I was like, what the fuck is going on? You know, and they're like, you're safe, just, we're gonna take you, just look up. Whatever you do, don't look down, we've got you.
why did they say that?
Because it's the most horrible shit you've ever seen in your life. Everywhere. Everyone's life that was lost and everyone's life that wasn't was a precarious fraction of a second.
The sense of guilt for having survived, coupled with the loss of their merchandise manager Nick Alexander and many fans, weighed heavily on them. In the aftermath,
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you'd be like, because you'd be like, oh my god, a bunch of our fans just got innocently killed by a bunch of maniacs. Our merchandise guy got killed. We survived even though we shouldn't have. You would be so messed up by that if you were the band. Unless you are just truly heartless.
there was a global outpouring of support for the victims and the city of Paris. Landmarks around the world were illuminated in the French tricolour, and social media was flooded with messages of solidarity using hashtags like Pray for Paris. Musicians and artists around the world held tributes, and there was a marked increase in discussions about the importance of unity and resilience in the face of terror. The return of Eagles of Death Metal to Paris to perform, less than a month after the attack, was a significant moment of defiance and healing. Their concert, held at the Olympia Theatre, was attended by survivors of the Bataclan attack and was charged with emotion. It served not only as a tribute to those who had been lost, but also as a statement about the power of music to heal and bring people together. The Bataclan attack led to a re-evaluation of security measures at cultural venues worldwide. There was a significant increase in the presence of security personnel, the implementation of stricter entry checks, and more comprehensive emergency preparedness plans.
Yeah, because that must be insane. If 3 guys can just walk into the building with a fucking explosive vest and fucking guns, then clearly your lack of security is a problem. And no, as far as just you need to. If you're doing a band, I feel if a band performing, you need to have good security. No matter what, no matter if it's a small band, big band, no matter if it's a small venue or a big venue, you need fucking security.
The incident spurred conversations within the music industry and among event organizers about the balance between maintaining an open, accessible cultural space and ensuring the safety of attendees. Moreover, the attack highlighted the vulnerabilities associated with soft targets, places like concert halls, cafes, and theaters, which are challenging to secure due to their open nature. Governments and security experts have since worked towards developing strategies that can mitigate risks without undermining the free and open character of public cultural and social events. Tragically, for Gilles and Marianne, they would not leave the venue that night unscathed. When the attack began, Gilles pushed Marianne to the floor in a desperate attempt to protect her from the gunfire. In doing so, Gilles was shot and killed, while Marianne...
Wow! So he died saving her. He pushed her to the ground to get her out of gunfire, and he got shot.
and survived. This is such a simple
Wow! Wow!
photo, showing a man and a woman who were in love and just wanted to enjoy a concert together. Gilles showed just how much he loved Marianne when he gave his life to protect her.
Yeah! Fucking hell!
Here we have a photo of an American black bear.
Oh god. Hey, get back here. I know this story. Oh, I know this story. This story's fucking insane. But I know this story very well. So I'll let Savox tell it.
In the Apshower Preserve in West Milford, New Jersey, when it comes to bears, most people instantly look at grizzly bears as the most dangerous because of how huge, powerful, and fearsome they are. Black bears are much smaller and have far less of a scary reputation, but they're still bears, and bears usually mean trouble. This photo was taken by 22-year-old Darsh Patel, a student at Rutgers University. On the afternoon of September 21st, 2014, Darsh and 4 friends embarked on a hike within the Apshower Preserve. Early into their hike, they noticed a black bear following them from a distance. Initially, the group did not perceive the bear as a threat. However, its persistent trailing raised their alarm. The situation escalated when the bear began to approach them more closely, prompting the group to make the fateful decision to split up and flee in an attempt to escape the bear's attention. This is pretty much the worst decision you can make when you're faced with a bear. If a bear's following you, you're already in danger. Turning your back on the bear and running lets it know that you're afraid, and now it sees you as prey. You have no chance of outrunning it, as a black bear can reach 30 miles per hour. At this point, it's only a matter of time before the bear gets you. Darsh and his friends ran. This decision lets him become...
Okay, so your mate, I guess, right? Because it's not a guarantee there's any way to make it so the bear doesn't attack you. So I guess the thought is maybe you're supposed, if you stare at it, if you stay walking backwards and you kind of stare at it, it may not look at you as prey. Because it doesn't look at you as prey by the way it made it sound. The bear doesn't fully look at you as prey until you run from it. Because then it knows you're afraid and you're easy to get. So it runs for you. Oof.
Becoming isolated from his companions. After realizing Darsh was missing, his friends managed to call emergency services, prompting a search operation. Darsh's body was later found in a remote section of the preserve, with the bear lingering in the vicinity, an indication of the bear's involvement in the attack. It was euthanized by the authorities on the scene, and subsequent examination confirmed human DNA within its system, conclusively linking it to the attack. In the wake of the attack, wildlife experts and authorities sought to understand the factors that might have contributed to the bear's unusual behavior, as black bears are generally known to avoid human contact. No immediate factors such as food competition, presence of cubs, or territorial defense appeared to be at play. The bear's behavior was atypical and not fully understood, which led to increased caution and awareness within the community.
Interesting. So it's not a normal behavior. The bear will use black bear will avoid human interaction most of the time, and it had no reason to go after these men, except for the fact that it just for some reason wanted to get violent. That's the only way you can put it. It just wanted to get violent for some reason.
Regarding wildlife encounters, the incident spurred a comprehensive review of wildlife management policies in New Jersey. particularly concerning bears. The state has a significant black bear population, and encounters, while usually non-fatal, are not uncommon. The tragedy led to enhanced educational efforts directed at hikers and residents in bear-populated areas, emphasizing the importance of bear awareness, the use of bear-proof containers for food, and the need to avoid surprising or provoking bears. The state also reviewed its policies on bear hunting as part of broader wildlife management strategies to control the bear population. Darsh's death served as a somber reminder of the unpredictability of wildlife behavior and the inherent risks of venturing into their habitats. It highlighted the critical need for preparedness, including knowledge of how to behave in the presence of bears and other potentially dangerous wildlife. Recommendations for hikers in bear country include making noise to avoid surprising bears, keeping a safe distance, not running from a bear, and carrying bear spray as a deterrent. It's unfortunate that it took the death of a young man like Darsh to prompt this, with him being the first person in the history of New Jersey to have been killed by a black bear.
Wait, did you say he was the first person in New Jersey to get killed by a black bear? That's fucking insane. Cause you gotta think bears are regular that way. It's not very abnormal for a bear to be there. So the fact that no one's ever been killed until that bear just decided it was time for someone to die at its hands. Fucking insane.
This photo shows a young
Oh, this is fucked up. This whole case is fucked up. I know this one. This one's so fucked.
girl taking in the view of the woods from the top of a cliff in Alabama's picturesque Cheehaw State Park. The girl in the picture is Jolie Callan, an 18-year-old high school graduate. The photo was taken by her then ex-boyfriend, Loren Daniel Bunner. The fact that this picture is in this video should give you an idea that all is not what it seems. Jolie Callan and Loren Bunner were involved in a relationship that, over time, exhibited increasingly troubling signs. Friends and family noted that the relationship was fraught with issues.
I know a girl who's in a relationship that's full of issues, but she ain't gonna get out of it. She ain't gonna be out of it.
Including controlling behavior exhibited by Bunner. Such behavior is a classic hallmark of abusive relationships, where one partner seeks to exert control over various aspects of the other's life, including their social interactions, personal choices, and even their perceptions of reality. The decision by Callan to end the relationship was a critical juncture. It's well documented in studies on domestic violence that the most dangerous time for a person in an abusive relationship is upon attempting to leave. This period can lead to an escalation in the abuser's behavior as they perceive their control slipping away. Loren.
Fascinating. Fascinating. I have never heard it like that. So the most dangerous point for a person in an abusive relationship is when they leave, or when they attempt to leave. Because it's when the person's controlling behavior and their aggressive behavior, it slips. They're losing control of the person, so they become the most That makes so much sense, yet it never registered to me like that. It never registered.
And wasn't one to accept the breakup easily though. It took him weeks before he could accept the reality that they weren't ever getting back together. Once it seemed that Loren had finally accepted the breakup, he had requested to Jolie that the two remain friends, which she had happily agreed to. In August 2015, Loren asked Jolie to go on a hike with him as friends, seemingly wanted to do it as a sort of closure. She agreed, and the two were set to go on the hike on August 30th. The day began with Loren picking up Jolie and her dog Kiba in his vehicle, driving them to the state park. As they commenced their hike along the Pinhoti Trail, the mood was reportedly normal. They were familiar with each other, having spent a lot of time together in the past. The trail they chose was scenic, offering breathtaking views of the surrounding natural beauty, an aspect that Bunner would later exploit to carry out his plan. Throughout the hike, Loren would take photos of Jolie and post them to Instagram. At a certain point along the trail, near the edge of a cliff that offered a panoramic view, the situation took a deadly turn. Loren took...
Okay, I'm sorry, I had to pop for this, so we all watched Mr. Ballin' then? That popped me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that's so messed up to say, but that popped me.
This photo. Moments later, he produced a gun from his bag and shot Jolie in the back of the head and then between the eyes, killing her instantly. The choice of location was no accident. The cliffside setting was chosen by Loren to push Jolie's body off in a vain attempt to make his heinous act look like a suicide. After committing the murder, Loren, perhaps overcome with the gravity of his actions while following through on parts of his plan, called 911. He reported the incident, initially claiming that Jolie had fallen off the cliff. However,
Bro, that was never gonna work. There were gunshots in her. Bro, what were you thinking? Immediately, even if I was trying to help you cover up, she's like, okay, if he was like, I'm gonna call and say she fell off the cliff, I'm like, man, you shot her, didn't you? He'd be like, yeah. Like, so how you gonna explain when there's gunshot wounds in her? He didn't fully think it. He wasn't fully thought through. He didn't fully think it through. That one.
upon the arrival of law enforcement and emergency responders, the evidence quickly contradicted his account. Loren was taken into custody, and the subsequent investigation would unravel the true nature of his actions and the premeditated murder of Jolie Callan. When the trial began in November 2015, Loren upheld his not guilty plea on the account that he insisted that this was a suicide pact gone wrong, not murder. Family and friends of Jolie made it clear that she had been excitedly preparing for her future and didn't seem depressed, and it was more likely that Loren killed Jolie in cold blood when she refused to rekindle their romantic relationship. On July 13, 2017, Loren pleaded guilty to Jolie's murder, though his attorneys pleaded with the courts for leniency, claiming that there was evidence he lived with a mental illness. The judge, however, was not swayed. The courts heard he had even boasted to fellow prisoners about the killing. Loren Daniel Bunner was sentenced as an adult and given 52 years in prison. He was also ordered to pay $9,255.92 in compensation to the Alabama Crime Victims Commission. The last photo of Jolie Callan shows her happily enjoying the beautiful Alabama landscape on what she thought was just a nice hike with her dog and the man who she believed now just wanted to be her friend. Instead, that friend decided he couldn't allow her to move on from their relationship and killed her in cold blood. This picture shows famous diver Nicholas Mavoli.
Jesus! Oh my god, his eyes look like they're about to pop out of his head. He looks fucking terrified. Why is he so scared in this photo? What is going on before this photo? Because he looks genuinely scared. Like, he looks scared for his life in this photo.
Upon surfacing from a 260-foot dive into the ocean in the vertical blue competition at Dean's Blue Hole in the Bahamas. As you can see from Nicholas's face in this photo, something doesn't look right. He looks startled, almost horrified by something.
Yeah!
But what? Well, you'll soon find out. Nicholas Mavoli was born in St. Petersburg, Florida, and grew up with a profound connection to the ocean. His early life was marked by a sense of adventure and a love for the water, which would later define his career and passion. Mavoli did not start as a professional freediver. He initially worked in various roles, including in the television industry in New York. His foray into freediving was driven by a deep-seated passion for exploring the limits of his own body and the serene, uncharted territories beneath the ocean's surface. Mavoli's dedication to freediving quickly set him apart in the sport. He was known for his disciplined approach to training, with his ability to achieve remarkable depths with minimal oxygen. His rapid ascent in the sport was marked by several notable achievements, including setting a US record in the constant weight no fins category, where divers descend and ascend using only their own strength without the aid of fins. Mavoli's approach to freediving was characterized by a relentless desire to test the limits of human endurance and capability. This drive led him to participate in numerous competitions around the world, continually striving to set new records and achieve greater depths. His dedication to the sport was not just about personal achievement. He was also passionate about the freediving community and the shared pursuit of pushing boundaries of what was considered possible. This, of course, led him to wanting to be the man who would dive deeper than any other, and he knew the perfect place to do this was the Vertical Blue competition, which would take place on November 17, 2013. Mavoli, known for his meticulous preparation and deep passion for the sport, approached this dive with the same intensity and focus that characterized his freediving career. Before his attempt, he would have gone through his routine of relaxation and concentration, preparing his body and mind for the extreme conditions he was about to face. As he commenced his dive, Mavoli disappeared into the blue depths of Dean's Blue Hole. Watched by fellow competitors, safety divers, and spectators, the dive was progressing as planned, and Mavoli reached the targeted depth of 72 meters, successfully touching the bottom plate to mark his achievement. The ascent from such depths is a critical phase in any free dive, as the diver must carefully manage their buoyancy and remaining oxygen. Mavoli began his ascent, which initially appeared to be under control. However, as he neared the surface, it became evident that he was in distress. Upon breaking the surface, Mavoli managed to signal that he had completed his dive by making the required service protocol, which includes removing facial equipment and signaling OK to the judges. However, immediately after this, he struggled to breathe and could not maintain his buoyancy. He lost consciousness within.
Part of me wonders, it's because, I think, right, you have, if you go up some way, certain amount of length, he either couldn't have water, like, blockage, or some decompression thing happened that caused him to, messed up his body. I don't fully know how to describe things.
In seconds, this photo captures the exact moment before he passed out and fell back into the ocean. The safety divers, who were always on standby during the competitions, quickly intervened. They brought Mavoli to the surface and onto the platform where first aid and medical assistance were immediately administered. Despite their rapid response and efforts to resuscitate him, Mavoli could not be revived. He was pronounced dead at the hospital after 90 minutes of attempted resuscitation. The diving community was left in shock and mourning as the reality of the loss of one of their own set in. The news of Nicholas Mavoli's death quickly spread through the free diving community and beyond, bringing attention to the risks associated with the sport. An autopsy later confirmed that Mavoli had suffered from pulmonary edema, a condition where fluid fills the lungs, making it difficult to breathe. This condition, exacerbated by the extreme pressure changes associated with deep free diving, was identified as a contributing factor to it.
Okay, so it was the water in his lungs making it hard to breathe, and then it was him trying to, that with the pressure changes of the way you go up when you go up in water, pretty much just made so he couldn't breathe or couldn't really do anything. Caused his death.
To his death, Nicholas died doing what he loved, but it's tragic that his final moments were captured on camera and that we got to see the precise moment the life left his body. The woman in this photo looks very happy as she's having her picture taken, making playful hand gestures and just generally seems to be having a good time. There's nothing disturbing in the photo itself, but what is disturbing is where this photo comes from. It was found in a collection of pictures owned by a man named Rodney Alcala, born Rodriguez.
I can't get away from Rodney Alcala. The man keeps coming into my vision somehow. But, because he's a dating game killer, right? Yeah, he's a dating game killer. I can't get away from this fucking guy. This guy always somehow pops back up. Every few months, I'll find somebody where Rodney Alcala will just show back up in my life.
Rodrigo Jacques Alcala Bocor in Texas in 1943. Alcala's early life seemed unremarkable at first glance. After his family's brief move to Mexico and subsequent return to the United States following his father's abandonment, Alcala and his siblings were raised by their mother in suburban Los Angeles. His intelligence was evident early on, but so was signs of social and psychological issues. Alcala joined the US Army at 17, but his service was cut short when he was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder following a nervous breakdown, leading to a medical discharge. This early indication of his psychological troubles was a precursor to the darker path his life would take. Alcala's criminal career began in the late 1960s, with his first known crime being the assault of an 8-year-old girl. This incident set the pattern for his subsequent crimes, characterized by sexual assault, torture, and murder. His early crimes typically involved luring victims under false pretenses. His modus operandi involved luring young women and girls under the guise of taking their photographs, exploiting his charm and good looks to gain their trust. This ruse was particularly insidious because it exploited the victim's innocence and aspirations. One of the most perplexing aspects of Alcala's criminal career was his ability to evade law enforcement for years. He traveled extensively across the United States, which, combined with the limitations in cross-jurisdictional communication at the time, made it challenging for the authorities to connect the dots between crimes in different states. Additionally, his outwardly charismatic personality further masked his predatory nature, making it difficult for those who knew him to connect this public persona with his heinous crimes. In 1978, he found a new way to find a potential victim when he appeared on the TV game show The Dating Game. The Dating Game was a popular television show where a bachelorette would question 3 bachelors who were hidden from her view before selecting one for a date. The show was known for its light-hearted and flirtatious banter, and contestants were typically seen as charismatic and eager to impress. Rodney appeared as Bachelor number 1 on the show. His participation was notable for several reasons. Firstly, the fact that a man with a criminal record, he had already been convicted for a crime by this time, could appear in a primetime TV show highlighted the lack of thorough background checks in place at the time. Secondly, his demeanor on the show was perceived as charming and confident. He was able to use his charisma to mask his true nature, a characteristic that he exploited in his crimes. During the
It was, thank God that this guy just happened to be the creepy human being and she caught on to it. Because if this guy she would not have survived an actual date with him. But she went, because behind once that camera turned off, he turned into a little bit of a creepy bastard. And she was like, yeah, he's too creepy, I don't want nothing to do with him. Now, I'm not going on a date with him. Saved her own life.
The show, he engaged in witty and flirtatious banter with the bachelorette, Cheryl Bradshaw.
Number 1, would you say hello to Cheryl, please? We're going to have a great time together, Cheryl.
Bachelor number 1.
Yes?
What's your best time?
The best time is at night, nighttime,
Why do you say that?
because that's the only time there is.
The only time? What's wrong with morning, afternoon?
Well, they're okay, but nighttime's when it really gets good. Then you're really ready.
I'm a drama teacher, and I'm going to audition each of you for my private class. Bachelor number 1. You're a dirty old man. Take it.
Come on, over here.
Oh, honey, we ought to go out and boogie.
Really?
Who ultimately selected him as her date.
Cheryl,
It's the most insane thing I've ever seen.
we have reached the moment of truth as we...
The drama teacher drama thing just went way off the fucking mark. I don't know what the fuck happened there. I went off the fucking rails.
Call it. You've heard from the bachelors. You got some great dramatic presentations, some good answers, but now I'm going to ask you a question. Will that date be bachelor number 1, bachelor number 2, or bachelor number 3? Who gets the dates?
Well, I like bananas, so I'll take 1.
Number 1, bachelor number 1. All right. Cheryl, he's a skydiver, so he's got a lot of nerve. He's into motorcycling. He's also a fine photographer. Say hello to Rodney Alcala. Rodney, come on and say hello.
Well, it doesn't help me, but they're like, yeah, you gotta worry about this Ronnie Alcala guy. We're just like, he's Ronnie Alcala. So he's a different guy. Fucking twat.
Congratulations, Rod. You did it with the one answer.
However, Bradshaw later reported feeling uneasy about Alcala, describing him as, quote, creepy, and ultimately refused to go on a date with him. This intuition may have been a fortunate decision, given Alcala's history.
I wonder, right? I wonder. I don't think, like, she's not popular, so no one's gonna talk to her. But I wonder what she thinks about when it comes to that. Because she sees this everywhere as date night. I wonder what she thinks, the Bradshaw. Because she avoided death. She avoided possible death by not going on a date with him. Like, does she realize how lucky she was that she did not go on a date with him?
In 1979, he was finally caught after the murder of 12-year-old Robin Samso. Alcala's eventual capture was a turning point in the investigation. It was not until his arrest and the subsequent search of his belongings that the full extent of his crimes began to surface. Photographs found in his possession would later become crucial evidence, linking him to numerous unsolved cases. The trials that followed were exhaustive and complex, with Alcala even choosing to represent himself at times, further drawing out legal proceedings. His first trial in 1980 resulted in a conviction and death sentence. primarily based on the testimonies of witnesses who saw him approach Samso on the day of her disappearance. However, his conviction was overturned by the California Supreme Court in 1984 due to the jury being improperly informed of his prior sex crimes. A second trial in 1986.
Wait, what? What the fuck do you think that changed the verdict? What do you mean? He was sentenced to death because of what he did. There was no, the sex part does not change. Then part people are gonna hear, oh, he had a sex crime. That means he's not guilty. What? That's so fucking weird. I don't even get that much. I don't get that at all.
Again resulted in a conviction and death sentence, but this was overturned by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in 2001, citing issues with evidence. A significant turning point in the case came with the advent of DNA technology. In 2003, his DNA was linked to 4 additional murders in Los Angeles County. These murders, which occurred between 1977 and 1979, involved victims who had been sexually assaulted and strangled. This new evidence led to Alcala's third trial in 2010, which was markedly different from the previous ones due to the concrete DNA evidence and the additional murder charges. In this trial, Alcala represented himself, a move that allowed him direct access to the evidence and the ability to cross-examine witnesses. His bizarre courtroom behavior included questioning himself on the stand in a different voice and
Is there video footage of that? I need to see that. I'm sorry. I need to see this man represent himself. That sounds... Oh, fucking question himself. That sounds amazing. That sounds so dumb that I need to see. Please tell me there's footage of that.
Showing a clip from his dating game appearance as part of his defense. Despite these antics, the overwhelming evidence against him led to his conviction on all counts of murder. In 2010, he was convicted of 5 counts of first-degree murder. The jury also...
Oh, so what? I'm more curious what his thought process was. Which is like, I couldn't be on. They would never let a murderer, unsolved murderer, on the dating game. Well, you can't convict me. I was on the dating game. I'm so curious what his thought process was.
Also found true special circumstance allegations of rape, kidnapping, and murder committed in a particularly heinous, cruel, or depraved manner. He was sentenced to death for the 3rd time. In 2013, he was extradited to New York, where he pleaded guilty to 2 additional murders from the 1970s and was sentenced to an additional 25 years to life. Rodney Alcala died of natural causes in 2021 while on death row, leaving behind...
This is my issue, right? People go, oh, he never got justice. They never... Because I think that was the one that, like, oh, it was disappointing that he died of natural causes. They never got justice. They fucking could have. Why does it take fucking over 20 years for you to attempt to do fucking sentence to death? Put that sumbitch away. Why do you gotta wait so long? Why the fuck does... Because if you're sentenced to death, you're more likely spending life in prison because it takes them 70 fucking years before they actually get to you. I don't know why it takes so long. Like, that's why I've always wondered, why does it take so long for the death penalty to someone on death row to get fucking killed? Like, why is it so long? Someone explain it, because I don't get it.
A legacy marked by brutality, manipulation, and a disturbing insight into the nature of evil. Returning to this picture, as I said, it was found in his collection, obviously one of the photos he took during his crime spree in the 1970s. Even more disturbing is that we have no idea who this woman is. She has never been identified, and we have no idea if she is still alive, or if she is another one of Rodney's victims.
I think that's an easy assumption to make.
This picture is actually a still image from security footage of the gym at Lowndes High.
Oh, this one's fucking weird. I don't even know how to explain what's going on. This is so fucking weird. This whole case is just don't add up. Nothing about it adds up. I love to know what happened here. This case baffles me.
High School in Valdosta, Georgia. The boy in the picture is Kendrick Johnson. Known to his family and friends as KJ, Kendrick was described as a sweet and quiet teenager with a passion for sports. particularly football and basketball, which he played for his high school teams. Kendrick's life, as remembered by those who knew him, was that of a typical high school student with dreams, hobbies, and a close-knit family. His interests in sports were a significant part of his life, reflecting his active and engaged lifestyle. Friends and family members often recounted his dedication to his sports teams and how he shared a strong bond with his teammates. Kendrick came from a loving family that was deeply involved in his life and education. At Lowndes High School, Kendrick was known to be a friendly and well-liked student among his peers. His involvement in sports contributed to his social life at school, where he was seen as a team player with a positive attitude. Despite the typical challenges and dynamics of high school life, Kendrick navigated his teenage years with the support of his friends and family. Like many teenagers, Kendrick had future aspirations that included furthering his education and potentially pursuing a career in sports or another field he was passionate about. As you can guess, him being in this video means something very bad had to have happened following this image. It is in fact the last known image of him alive. It was taken in the afternoon of January 10th, 2013. Kendrick attended school like any typical day, with plans to attend a basketball game later in the evening. There was nothing out of the ordinary reported about his demeanor or activities during the day that would indicate anything was amiss. But then something happened. Something that would rock the school and the entire community to its core the very next day. On January 11th, Kendrick was found head first in the center of a rolled wrestling mat, which was standing vertically behind bleachers in the school's gym. The initial investigation by law enforcement concluded that his death was accidental, suggesting that he had fallen into the mat while trying to retrieve a shoe and suffocated due to the position he was in. The Johnson family and many supporters disputed this conclusion, leading to widespread public interest and controversy surrounding the case. Doubts were raised about the thoroughness of the initial investigation, and Kendrick's parents insisted that their son's death was the result of foul play. They suggested that he might have been murdered and that there was a subsequent cover-up by local officials. In response to the family's concerns,
I'm gonna be straight honest, I would not understand at all. One, how his shoe ended up in a rug in the first place. That doesn't make no sense. And two, how the fuck he'd end up in, like... No, I don't buy that story. I'm sorry, it don't make... Nothing they say adds up there when it comes to how he accidentally died.
and public pressure, further investigations were conducted, including a private autopsy commissioned by Kendrick's family. This second autopsy contradicted the findings of the initial one, concluding that Kendrick died from blunt force trauma to the head, not suffocation. The Johnson family pursued legal action to have the case reopened and further investigated. Despite these efforts, and after extensive reviews by local and federal agencies, including the US Department of Justice, the official stance for some time remained that Kendrick's death was accidental. However, the case has seen various developments over the years, including the release of new evidence and renewed investigations. The Johnson family and their supporters for a more thorough investigation into Kendrick's death.
I'm gonna be honest. This poster's fucking A. I love it. Kendrick went to school with a book bag, came home in a body bag. We want answers. That is fucking insane.
Maintaining that there are unanswered questions surrounding the circumstances of how he died. It's pretty obvious that there was some kind of foul play involved. I mean, it seems highly unlikely that he just fell into a gym mat and died. Either way, his life was cut tragically short, just hours after this image. Here is a photo of Andrei Karlov, the Russian ambassador to Turkey. It was taken in 2016, while he was giving a speech at the opening of an exhibition of Turkish photography of the Russian countryside. The exhibition was entitled, Russia Through the Turk's Eyes. Like always, there's nothing overly disturbing about this picture at first
Just this guy. He's the center of this. I can already tell that.
glance. It literally just looks like a regular photo taken by a journalist, and at first it was, but take a look at the man behind him. There's something eerie about him, something which will become apparent later on. Andrei Karlov was born on February 4, 1954 in Moscow, and dedicated much of his life to serving as a diplomat for his native Russia, a career that spanned several decades and took him to various corners of the globe. His professional journey reflected not only the complexities of international relations through the years, but also the evolving nature of Russia's diplomatic engagements. Karlov graduated from the Moscow State Institute of International Relations, one of Russia's most prestigious universities for diplomatic studies, a breeding ground for many of the country's top diplomats. This foundation equipped him with the necessary skills and knowledge to navigate the intricate world of international politics and diplomacy. Karlov's career in diplomacy began during the Soviet era, a period marked by the Cold War's tensions and ideological battles on the global stage. He joined the Soviet diplomatic service, where he initially focused on consular duties. Over the years, his role and responsibilities grew, reflecting his growing expertise and the trust placed in him by his superiors. Karlov's appointment as the Russian ambassador to Turkey was a testament to his extensive experience and the high regard in which he was held within the Russian diplomatic corps. Turkey, straddling the continents of Europe and Asia, has always been a country of significant strategic importance, and its relations with Russia are multifaceted, involving issues of energy, security, and regional politics. During his tenure, Karlov worked amidst a backdrop of fluctuating relations between Russia and Turkey, especially in light of the Syrian civil war and the downing of a Russian fighter jet by Turkish forces in 2015. Despite these tensions, Karlov was instrumental in the process of reconciliation and strengthening ties between the two nations, showcasing his diplomatic acumen and commitment to peace.
Sorry for yawning. This case is a guy who we're just learning the life story of a politician who was supposed to be the peacemaker. The guy kept peace and make amends between Russia and Turkey, and yet he gonna end up got
Peaceful resolution of conflicts. Now we come back to the young man behind Andrei in the photo. The man's name is Melvut Mert Altintaz. Altintaz, born in 1994 in the Aydin province of Turkey, grew up in a modest family and pursued a career in law enforcement, which led him to the Turkish National Police Academy. After his graduation, he served in various capacities within the Turkish police force, including in the riot police units based in Ankara. His role as a police officer provided him with the skills and access that he would later misuse on the day this photo was taken. On December 19, 2016, Altintaz used his police credentials to gain entry to the art gallery where Andrei Karlov was speaking, bypassing security checks under the guise of providing security for the event. As Karlov began his speech at the podium, Altintaz positioned himself strategically behind the ambassador, initially appearing as part of the security detail. Suddenly, Altintaz drew a concealed weapon and fired multiple shots at Karlov from behind, hitting him and causing him to...
That is insane how he was able to do that. He had police credentials. He perfectly was able to bypass everyone and get perfectly behind him enough that when he pulled out that gun, he was perfectly able to take him out.
fall to the ground. The attack was not only brazen, but also intended to maximize shock and fear, as evidenced by its public setting and the presence of media covering the event. After shooting Karlov, Altintaz fired additional shots into the air and shouted slogans in Turkish and Arabic, expressing grievances related to the conflict in Syria and condemning Russian involvement. These outbursts were captured by the attending press, adding a...
I have a weird feeling that even the Turkey people were just like, this guy's fucking insane. What the fuck? Like, Russia and Turkey are just like, this guy's fucking nuts. What the fuck?
layer of political messaging to the act of violence. The assassination caused immediate panic and chaos within the art gallery, as attendees scrambled for safety amidst the gunfire. Turkish security forces quickly responded to the incident, and a shootout ensued between Altintaz and the police. Altintaz was subsequently shot and killed by the responding officers after a brief standoff. After a lifetime of service, the last image we have of Andrei Karlov is this photo, with his killer looming in the background. This selfie was taken by a young Indian student at the Vienna Vignana Jyoti Institute of Engineering and Technology with some of his fellow students during a trip on June 8, 2014. They were visiting the Laji Dam at the Bias River to learn about the hydraulics in the dam. Obviously, it was meant to be just a normal college field trip, and the students were clearly enjoying themselves, as this image shows. Of course, we all know things are not all they seem, hence why this image is in the video. The Beas River, originating in the Himalayan mountains, is one of the significant rivers in the northern Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. The region, known for its picturesque landscapes and rivers, is also suitable for hydraulic power generation, leading to the establishment of several hydroelectric projects along the river. The VNR Institute, based in Hyderabad, organized an industrial visit for its students to Himachal Pradesh. Such trips are educational tours aiming at providing students with practical insights into their fields of study. In this case, engineering. The group comprised of engineering students and faculty members who embarked on this journey with.
Oh, please tell me these morons did not go in the dam. I'm sorry to insult them, because I don't think I'll be able to. Please don't tell me none of these dumbasses actually thought to go into the dam.
The aim of learning more about the real-world application of engineering principles, particularly in hydroelectric power generation. On the afternoon of June 8th, the group stopped by the banks of the Beas River near the town of Talut in the Mandi district for a leisurely break. The students, seizing the opportunity to relax and take in the beauty of the surroundings, ventured close to the water to take photographs and enjoy some moments of reprieve. Unknown to them, the Laji hydroelectric power station, located upstream, released a large volume of water without adequate warning to the downstream areas. This sudden discharge of water into the river led to an immediate and drastic rise in the water level at the spots where the students were located. The surge was so sudden and forceful that the students and tour operator, who were near the river's edge, were swept away by the rushing waters.
That is insane. So this power plant thing that just had about the just unloaded the water, didn't even proceed to look to see if anyone was nearby or anything, just fucking did it. And then they were forced, now fucking a bunch of people died because of their fucking, I don't even know if I say negligence, just fucking idiocracy.
The rapid onrush gave them little to no time to react or escape, leading to a tragic loss of 24 young lives. The aftermath of the tragedy was marked by profound grief and anger, with questions raised about the apparent lack of warning and the safety measures in place for such hydroelectric projects. The families of the victims, the college community, and the public at large were left reeling from the shock and seeking answers and accountability. In the wake of the tragedy, there were demands for legal action against those deemed responsible for the negligence that led to the students' deaths. The Himachal Pradesh government ordered a high-level inquiry to investigate the circumstances leading to the disaster and to identify the lapses that occurred. The tragedy also led to calls for stricter regulations and protocols concerning the operation of dams and the management of water releases, including the need for effective warning systems to alert the public about water discharges and the.
Because we've seen it with, we saw it one Mr. Baldwin case where there were warning signs that they missed that were not there, but there were gigantic sirens to let you know a bunch of fucking water's coming out of a goddamn dam. But no one, everyone ignores the water or ignores the sirens, and then the fucking thing comes out. But at least in that case, they said they had fucking warnings. They had a warning sign and warning signs that just were stolen for some reason, because you don't know why someone would take that. But in this case, they had nothing to let anyone know some shit was about to go down.
The implementation of safety measures near the hydroelectric projects. Of course, it's a shame that people only realized that the dam safety measures were not adequate after 24 people lost their lives on what should have been just a normal college field trip. This selfie shows a group of Lebanese teenagers hanging out in Beirut on December 27, 2013. The one taking the selfie is 17-year-old Omar Bekdash. With him are his friends Rabbi Youssef, Ahmed Morabi, and Mohammed Al-Shah. The four of them were on break from school and decided to go to town for a coffee and go for a jog afterwards. They drove to an upscale section of downtown Beirut to get their coffees before heading to a nearby plaza filled with fountains and outdoor seating in the shadow of the Starco building, a Swiss-designed complex refurbished after the 15-year Lebanese civil war ended in 1990. There isn't much information about the boys, except Mohammed Al-Shah. He was 16 years old at the time and a talented basketball player who had dreams of going to the US to play in the NBA. He was also the oldest of three brothers and seemed to love spending time with his family and friends. Unfortunately, just moments after Omar uploaded this picture to social media, tragedy would strike. If you look in the background, you'll see a gold SUV. It may not seem important now, but it will play a huge role in the incident to come. At the same time the boys were relaxing in the plaza, Lebanese politician Mohammed Chattar was also in the area. Mohammed Chattar was born in Tripoli, Lebanon in 1950.
Oh my god, is someone about to try to assassinate this guy and then gets the kid instead? Is that what's about to happen? Oh, don't, because it's either that what's about to happen or this guy's about to start unloading on the teens, about to start unloading on the thing. But I have a weird feeling this guy's about to, someone's going to attempt to shoot this guy. And he's going to get one of the teens. But I could be wrong. It could be one of the teens wants to kill him.
He held a PhD in economics and served in various significant capacities throughout his career. Chattar's role included being Lebanon's ambassador to the United States, a senior advisor to former prime ministers, and Lebanon's finance minister from 2008 to 2009. His economic expertise and moderate political stance made him a respected figure both domestically and internationally. Chattar was associated with the March 14th Alliance, a coalition of political parties and independents in Lebanon that emerged after the Cedar Revolution in 2005, advocating for the end of Syrian military presence in Lebanon. He was a vocal critic of Hezbollah and the Syrian government, often expressing his views openly in the media and through social platforms, including Twitter. His moderate and conciliatory approach was aimed at preserving Lebanon's sovereignty and promoting stability in a country marked by sectarian divisions and external influences. His criticisms of Hezbollah and the Syrian regime, particularly regarding their role in Lebanon and the surrounding region, positioned him as a target for those who saw his views as antagonistic to their interests. His outspoken nature, particularly in the era of social media, amplified his reach and influence, but also exposed him to greater risks. On the morning of December 27th, Chattar was en route to a meeting at a residence in downtown Beirut. As he was on his way, he approached the gold SUV. Little did he or anyone else, including the four boys, know that the SUV was quite literally a ticking time bomb. It was in fact loaded with over 50 kilograms of explosives.
What?
At approximately 9:40 a.m., the explosives in the SUV were detonated.
Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. So this SUV is either driven by someone who knows there's explosives, or it's just parked there for the fact that explosives go off and he fucking... What? Oh my fucking god.
Chattar was killed instantly, as were 5 other people. After the explosion, Omar Bektash was seriously injured, with shards of glass in his leg. As he regained his composure, Rabbi Youssef came running to him, crying and screaming that Mohammed al-Shah was dead, a victim of the terrorist attack. The boys had to receive medical attention, while al-Shah, who had actually just barely survived the explosion, died 2 days later, becoming the 7th person to be killed by the explosion. Mohammed al-Shah was only 16 years old. He still had his entire life ahead of him, had dreams that he had already planned out, but it was all taken away from him just because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see y'all for the next one.